The Water and Sanitation Department has attributed the ongoing water crisis in the country to aging infrastructure and capacity challenges from municipalities. The Department of Water and Sanitation is hosting the final day of the National Water and Sanitation Summit today. This comes after a visit by Minister Senzo Mchunuto to find out about service delivery challenges they are facing and to unlock bottlenecks hampering the completion of the project. Our reporter Katlego Legodi is following this story for us. Katlego, the issue of infrastructure is continuously one that we've heard from the Department of Water and Sanitation about why some people do not have water or why there's a scarce source of water to some communities. What have you heard so far at the summit?
Most definitely, Tseho, the issue of aging infrastructure and those challenges on the ground have dominated, some of the talks here at the Water and Sanitation Summit that is underway on day 2. That is the final day, and we've just come out of a commission that is looking into infrastructure. And of course, you can understand that when the day started from earlier on, most of the delegates here, about 400 delegates, are split into various commissions, and one of the commission was around issues of infrastructure. And they have said that the infrastructure challenges, most of them emanate from the fact that there is budget that is allocated year in, year out from the national government into local municipalities, and those monies, you see them at the end of the financial year going back into national because they were not utilized by those local municipalities to somehow fix those infrastructure and address the challenges when it comes to the scarcity of water or challenges around pollution or even vandalism. Some of the issues or concerns raised was around the fact that, some of these infrastructures are faced with vandalism challenges, and, they were saying that this summit has to come up with solutions of how these challenges are going to be addressed head on. About 140 billion rand in the past 3 years, we are told, has been returned to the national government from local municipalities, and this money was supposed to address all of those challenges pertaining to infrastructure. But I'm going to invite into the conversation now to one official from the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Department. They also deal with issues of infrastructure on the ground, and he'll give us, his sense of how this issue is being ventilated here at the summit. His name is Cornelius, and he's just going to let us in on some of those, points that he raised in the commission that we just got out of. Thank you for joining us on Newsroom 405. Just let us in on, those challenges on the ground, especially pertaining to issues of infrastructure.
Yes, good morning and to everybody. The challenges of water infrastructure, in particular water services at municipal level, it's a huge challenge, it's a huge problem. Dysfunctional infrastructure, the fact that communities don't receive services, the issue there's no water services, and that is also been exacerbated by cyclical droughts. So that is one of the issues that we debated this morning, is that how do we make service delivery, basic services to communities, water and sanitation, sustainable. And the real issue of local government, that been for the past 3 years, 147 billion rand has been allocated to municipalities. Out of that, 137 billion rand has been in terms of the expenditure, and that comes from the audited outcomes of results of local government. That's been by the Auditor General and also by the National Treasury in terms of the analysis that what we have done. So in total, there's about more than 10 billion rand under expenditure, and the challenge is then what we said to ourselves, that how can we make efficiencies, expenditure at local government much more effective? How do we make sure that infrastructure is provided and that communities are being properly serviced? The point that has been raised and what we said to the Minister of Water and Sanitation and to the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, that strong interventions would be taken in terms of municipalities to make sure there's effective and efficient expenditure of budget. But also with that is the fact that we need to get value for money in terms of the expenditures that occur, and that was also raised by the Auditor General. So that is the first. And then the second aspect is about the lack of skills that are at municipal level. We realize that all municipalities cannot have all the skills that have been required. So what we then say is that we have to look at within the district development model in terms of the hub, how do we have to deal with the skills, technical skills, but also business skills, because water services is a 24/7 business, because communities need these kind of services, and we have to be dignified with that, and municipalities to execute their constitutional mandate. So those are the two critical things that have been. And then the third is about repairs and maintenance. We have now, in terms of the proposals under the Division of Revenue Act, is that how we can then see that we can create another funding that we say that we have to directly intervene. And we propose for a municipal intervention unit with the Department of Water and Sanitation and COCTA that we use some of these under expenditure and then goes into repairs and maintenance to deal with the dysfunctional infrastructure that we have at local municipalities. So those are the three critical aspects that we have, because it's a matter of making sure that South Africa, in terms of the services that we provide, that communities get those particular services. Just my last point on this. Over the last 20 years, in terms of the investment that South Africa has made into infrastructure, was 450 billion rand that has been invested since the dawn of democracy. And here we see a regression or a backsliding in terms of some of the provision of services. So that is one of the issues that we're here to unpack and to find solutions. The Minister of Water and Sanitation, with his other colleagues, other ministers, said we don't need to repackage the problems. You want solutions and you want interventions, and that is what we have proposed. And we're looking at the reduction in terms of the number of water services authorities in South Africa that cannot execute their constitutional mandates. And that is one of the stronger recommendations, that some of the legislative frameworks and some of the other aspects have to be looked at, where and the interventions where municipalities cannot execute their functions.
So thank you very much for joining us on Newsroom 405. Of course, the recommendations coming in quick, from delegates here on the ground. About 400 of them have gathered here, and we'll hear, some of the commissions, they've broken into commissions, and we'll hear, as the day progresses, how some of those commissions are going to champion those concerns and issues raised from delegates on the ground. And of course, the Water and Sanitation Minister Senzo Mchunuto will in the afternoon also take to the podium and address some of those things that were raised, or issues that were raised here in the past 2 days. And as the Department of Water and Sanitation look at enforcing some of those solutions, at an instant, as they also pace themselves to ensure that the year 2022 is a year that brings about change in the lives of those millions of people that are still in need of adequate water and sanitation across the country.
Katlego Legodi, thank you so much for that update at the Water and Sanitation Summit.